we are exploring the greatness of Sanatana Dharma. The fundamental authority of Sanatana Dharma is the Vedas. So the grandest truth shown by the Vedas is that which is the superior, ultimate truth is certainly one. But that one truth is approached in many ways. In Sanatana Dharma, you find the diversity, varieties, number of traditions, which is peerless compared to any other faiths. There are so many traditions, so many sects within the traditions, and so many philosophies, Tattva. It is not just a difference in practice. It's not just in the day-to-day observances of festivals, etc. In fact, in fundamental philosophy itself, there is so much variety. The intelligence of divinity itself. So it is called an eternal book, Sanatana Dharma. And since divinity is eternal, divinity's intelligence is eternal, and divinity and his intelligence cannot be separated. That's why in Bhagavatam, when you heard Ajamila Charitra, you must have heard the Vakyam in Bhagavatam, Vedo Narayana Sakshat Swayambhur iti Sushruma. That is the beauty of Vedamata. And the Vedamata, we all know, is divided into 4 by our Veda Vyasa Bhagavan. And he has rejuvenated Sanatana Dharma, especially for Kali Yuga. All the matas, all the traditions owe their existence in one way or the other to Vyasa Bhagavan. And it is because of Vyasa Bhagavan that today we know there is something called Rama, we know something called Krishna. If he had not given our timely Puranas, Mahabharata, and Brahma Sutras, and of course divided Vedas to make sure it is sustained through Kali, I don't think would have even heard those names or not understood the meanings of those names or don't even know what that name looked like as a form. We owe everything to Vyasa Bhagavan. And Vyasa Bhagavan is no different from Bhagavan Narayana himself, right? And so we have these 3 traditions which were rejuvenated or revealed or fortified or initiated, whichever way, by 3 great Mahatmas, our Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada, Bhagavat Ramanujacharya, and Sri Madhvacharya. The first matam was the Advaita matam, which was revealed, which was reinforced, which was re-established by Sri Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada, by the Sishya of a great Mahatma called Govinda Bhagavatpada, who was the Sishya of another great Mahatma called Gauda Padarnotar. And that Sishya of Govinda Bhagavatpada, we call it as Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada. Why he was called Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada means he was named Shankara because he was born as a mercy of Shankara in Vadakanatha Swami in Kerala. And our Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada descended in a place called Kaladi in Kerala. It is the Kailasapati, the Loka Guru, Jagat Guru, and which our Bhagavatam constantly celebrates Shankara Kailasapati as Loka Guru, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhuhungati. And so obviously it's no big surprise that he was the descent of Shankara came as a great Acharya Purusha to establish Advaita. Now to start this, we need to understand what was the background to Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada's descent. What was the state of Bharatavarsha? If you see, people were getting a little tired of what passed off as Sanatana Dharma when it was not actually showing the spirit of Sanatana Dharma. People in the name of Shiva worships started becoming Kapalikas and they started doing even Narabali. That was the state there. There was a constant quarrel between the so-called worshippers of Vishnu and so-called worshippers of Shiva. They were fighting with each other all the time. And they started manufacturing stories, attacking each other. The Buddhists, not Buddha, Buddhists, they went on telling a philosophy of Shunyam, 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 no, Shunyam. The final end of everything, Shunyam. World is false. The one who sees the world is false. Everything is false. What is the final end? There is a lamp, there is a deepam in the lamp. When the light is extinguished, everything is Shunyam. Avaladantar. Da Nirvanam. And people found this and they were very intellectual. So they used all their intellectual prowess to prove that it's all Shunyam, Shunyam. People found it okay, let us shout Shunyam, Shunyam. There was no alternative to that. Because people who are Vedic people were busy doing only Yagam and Yajnam. Nobody had any interest in the philosophy. There was nobody to answer those questions. So people embraced, confused. And the Sankhyas went on saying, it's all nature, 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 all nature. There is nothing called Ishvara. And Nyayikas went on saying, it's all atoms, everything come together, it goes off all of them. And the Kapalikas were doing Naravali. And then Karma Marga was busy only doing Yaga and Yajna, which is Veda Sammatam. But they did not understand the spiritual aspects of Vedas properly. There was nobody to guide them. What will they do? And now this society was in a spiritual chaos. So life went on as well. People ate, drank, sleep, other life. But they lost clarity in spirituality. And they were confused. They were all suffering. And when they were all suffering that way, the time was ripe for Bhagavan said, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. And a descent was important. Acharya had to come down because there were multiple attacks on Sanatana Dharma. So with this confusion, our Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada had to work around all this to create a Siddhanta to protect Sanatana Dharma from assailing. It is said in one of the Sankara Vijayams, at the time of Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada, whether 8th century or AD or BC, I don't know, there were 72 cults which was ruling the roost with tremendous followings. And the author of that Shankara Vijayam writes, after Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada's avataram, we don't even get the names of these cults, not by any force, but purely by arguments, purely by logic, and purely by debates, even not by force, by the force of divinity only, not by the force of this word, you see. That's how matas are established. Not matte, matham, which means philosophies established purely. And both parties were benign those days. They didn't use spirituality as a way to fill coffers. Na. So obviously when they find that the logic is strong, now they accept defeat. Those were the times. He said, Brahma Satyam. He said that which is Satyam. He used the Upanishadic term, saying that Upanishad talks it as Brahman, that Brahman is Satyam. And this world as we know it, even if you think it is not fully true, chalo, I will use the term called Mithya, a special term. Let the world be temporarily true, which means it's not permanently true. Let it be so. But the world exists as Brahman as its Adharam. Even when the world disappears, the substratum always remains. It is true. True means it always is there. It's eternal. Sanatana. Okay. And then he went on to say the one who sees, which is the Jiva, is also conscious. And Brahman is also conscious. There is no difference between Jiva and Brahman because both are consciousness. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. As an ignorant normal people like you and me, Jivo Brahma Mahaparam. You see, both are very different. I am an Alpam, he is Mahat. All that is true. When in Advaita, don't think Bhagavan is not true. Bhagavan Satya. Everything is Satya. But once you get that Kaivalyamra and the self-realization, then you realize that everything is consciousness. That Krishna is also consciousness. I is also consciousness. That which I saw as the world is not world actually, but consciousness. That's how Jagat is Mithya. And the example given is very beautiful. It's a very oft repeated example. In the twilight hour, somebody is walking down home, rush to go back home. Suddenly in the road middle, he finds a snake. And imagine what will happen to the person. He starts sweating and then he's trying to run away. And he's about to run when somebody said, hey, why are you running? Hey, snake, yeah. Very poisonous. If it bites me, I'll be dead. So I'm afraid of it. And the person lights a torch and shows, snake, show me the snake. And he found it was not a snake, but it was actually a rope, you see. And what he thought was snake was only a rope. So he saw the rope and he saw a snake on the rope. But the moment you light a match and see what it is really, snake disappeared, but rope existed. Now here, that is what is called Mithya. When a person sees a rope as a snake, it is as real to him as the fear he undergoes, as the sweat he undergoes, all real. But when the jnana comes, then you realize snake was not snake at all, it was rope. So when you get that jnana or the wisdom, would you ask him, when did the rope come? You'll say, rope was always there. Na? Only I didn't see the rope as a rope. I saw the rope as a snake. I didn't see this world as Vasudeva, or rather Brahman. I saw world as world. But the moment I see as Vasudeva, na, all my miseries drop. So the world as world may be false, but the world as Brahman is true. And when it becomes Brahman, the world disappears. So world is Mithya. Now you get this? So Brahman Satyam, not Brahma, Brahman Satyam, Jagat Mithya.
Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Grand philosophy. And in one stroke, he answered everybody. Now, people who are convinced about impermanence of the world and so it is false, if he told them, world may be false, my dear, but the Adharam, the one which is a substratum, the basic base is true, which is Brahman. And the one who sees is also not false. The one who sees is no different from that Brahman. And then he also showed karmatas. The reason why you do this karma is Ishwararpanam, because only then you will get the clarity in your heart to realize that Brahman. So do your Vedic activity. Of course you have to do. It is Vihitam. But do it for Ishwararpitam. Don't do it for Loka Icha or Naraka Icha, Swarga Icha and all that. And do it as Ishwararpanam. Do it as an offering to Bhagavan. It will purify you. Once you are purified in a purified chitta, the Brahma will shine forth. You will be realized. Or you can do Upasana, do Shravanam, Kirtanam, do Bhajanam, etc. Bhakti will also purify you and prepare you for Jnana. The highest goal of life is Brahma Sakshatkaram or Atma Sakshatkaram, because Atma and Brahma are one and the same. And this is what is called Advaitam, a state where a second entity is refuted. This is the technical meaning of. And so here, Brahma Satyam, Brahmam Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Jivo Brahma Iva Naparaha. A grand philosophy. It was agreeable to the intellectuals. Many of the people who were leaning towards Buddhism realized this, and he used this not just with logic. He brought all the Upanishad mantras, and he brought back the respect and legitimacy and applicability of Vedas in defining a religion. All the acharyas who came behind him followed it by doing Vedas commentary, which is Upanishad commentary, Bhagavad Gita commentary, and Brahma Sutras commentary. The first one to put the path was our Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada. And he put a path and everybody followed it. So even to refute Advaita, you have to comment on these three. You see, and he put a path. And then he said, Jiva is also 100% consciousness. Only when he is hypnotized to think he is the mind, he is the body, he is all these, etc. That's what is called ignorance. In that ignorance, there is misery. The moment he realizes the truth, there is no misery. Now, you would explain three things. And the three things are this here. The world, the Jiva, and the Brahma. So this is what is our Advaita Siddhantam. It says the world is true as long as you are a Ajnani. Please don't have any notions that if I believe that the world is only Brahman, not enough. You have to realize. We have to Atma Pariksha. Atma Pariksha. If I really believe that the world is unreal, now what am I trying to do with asking for salt and pepper in my food? Atma Pariksha. You see, when I have this taste, but once you realize, then you realize the world as a world is false. That which we call the world is actually its substratum, which is Brahman. That's always there. So the world is an appearance on the substratum called Brahman. Alda Mithya. And what is this Jiva? Jiva is the same consciousness, but unfortunately conditioned by what is called as the mind. So the mind borrows consciousness from the Jiva and passes off as I am you. You get what I'm saying? So the mind says, I am the person, I am the one. So once the conditioning of the Jiva called Ajnana is gone, then Jiva being Swayam Prakasham and conscious, he realized the oneness with that consciousness which we call Brahman. There are no limiting adjuncts, there is no limiting conditioning, etc. And that is what is called Kaivalyam. That is what is called Jivan Mukti. Attaining the complete identity with consciousness and rejecting the mind, Buddhi, Deham, Prana, everything as not me. Allah. That's what is called the Mahavakyam, Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi as per Advaita. Now, Tattvamasi is going to be interpreted very differently by other two schools now. But as per Advaita Siddhanta, this is the final thing. It's called Moksha. Moksha means complete identity of only consciousness. Nothing else, nobody else, nothing.
In Advaitam, the salient points are very simply, everybody wants to be happy always and not to ever feel sorrow. That is a common human aspiration. And the reason why we do all the activities, the reason why we go around and exert ourselves is in the aspiration for that state. But unfortunately, whatever happiness we seem to experience in this world comes with the shadow of sorrow. And whatever happiness we are experiencing is temporary. It comes and then goes immediately, only leaving us more craving and leaving us with more wanting that experience again, which happens to be misery for us. So it is transient here and even in other worlds. And hence, only in the state of non-duality, Advaita, where the observation and observed all fuse into one state of consciousness, which is my true Swarupa, which is my true inherent state, there is no sorrow or no infatuation. When we are in the state of realization of that consciousness, only then there is a permanent solution to all these. So Advaita philosophy tells us that which we are searching for outside is actually within us. The lovely example given is an example of a now extinct species, I guess, called musk deer. You see, musk deer used to produce a fragrant chemical, a scent, right in its nabi, you see, right in its body. But then when it gets that wonderful fragrance, the musk deer does not even know it is coming from itself. It goes around smelling the grass there, tree there, the shrub there, the creeper there, thinking, where am I getting that smell? I am getting the faint fragrance of that smell, but I am not able to find the source of the smell. And it is constantly bothered its whole life because it is searching, where is the smell coming from? When actually it is coming from its own body, you see. And so the entire Advaita philosophy says that Ananda is your real innermost self. And the beauty in the Neo-Advaitis, Mahatmas who came in the recent centuries, they say, look here, when the mind is completely subdued and it abides in the self, that's when we get this taste of Ananda. Even the normal joy we get in our life comes from the slight taste of the mind getting a little silent for a few seconds. So the whole purpose of Advaita philosophy is manonasham, somehow make the mind abide in itself, because that's the source of joy. And the whole idea of Advaita is misery is because of ignorance, avidya. What is the ignorance? Not knowing I am that Atma Swarupam. I don't know my own Swarup. I don't know my own inherent state, which is the reason why I am caught in the desire. And desire is called karma. And that karma pushes me into action, karma. Without a desire, there is no karma. It is the desire which pushes me into action. And when I keep repeating the action, I get this recording called vasanas. Vasanas are latent impressions or tendencies. And that is the cause for me to continue. When I leave this body, because of the vasanas, I catch another body, another body, another body. It goes on like that. And leading to misery. You see, such is his state. So salient points. So how do we actually get there? First is Shravanam. We listen to the Shastras from a capable teacher who is Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam, who is not only well versed in Vedas, Vedanta, Upanishads, but also has the experience, who is a Brahmajnan. Very rare to get that. But if you get, then we can progress easily. Then Mananam. Whatever we heard, we have to do Chintanam. You see, piece-wise, everything looks very good. But to connect everything and to do the Chintana takes tremendous of mental energy. And that is what is called Mananam. And once you do Mananam, to clarify, this is what my Acharya said, this is what Shastra says. Without Shraddha, Mananam is not possible. That's why we need Shraddha. Shraddha means absolute Vishwasam, absolute faith in the words of Acharya, in the words of Shastras. So sit down and do Mananam. Mananam na inana, this is what Shastra says. This is how my Guru explained it. And again and again, asking yourself questions, asking yourself what if, asking yourself, trying to annihilate, and being very clear conceptually, Mananam. Then Nididhyasanam means applying it. When you go to the river and it is very cold, and you see it's very cold, immediately see Toshna Sukadu, Keshu, Samasanga Vivarjita, cold is temporary, heat is temporary, and it has a start and end. My body is not me. So why should I actually bother and get into the cold water, which is come Edrichaya? Our Sampradaya, we don't go around tormenting the body for the sake of tormenting. What comes its way, we forbear. Check your mind. Is it getting reacting? Then you say, that person is Jadam, that walk is Jadam, my ears are Jadam, that mind is jadam, my buddhi is jadam, jadam is hitting another jadam, like two poles hitting each other. Why should I be bothered? Guna guneshu vardante, nididhyasana. See, every second you have to be aware and never let your vicharam slip. So these are the three parts: Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. You have to watch and be aware and not given to these vacillations of the mind when we are subject to duality. Nididhyasana. And then what our Bhagavad Gita shows, our Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada also shows, that first whatever karma is there, karmanyevadhikaraste nafaleshu kadachana. So whatever karma, we do it as Ishwar Arpitam, na ichchaya kritam. Don't do it out of my likes or dislikes. Do it because Bhagavan has told that in Shastra. So I do it. And I don't do it out of expectation of a result in future. I do it as Krishna Arpanam, Karma Yogam Panna. We get what is called as Chitta Suddhi. And for us to focus our mind, Hari Bhakti has to be done. Our Adi Shankara Bhagavadpada himself says, Hari Bhakti makes us the mind one-pointed and stabilizes the mind by Hari Kripa. And when we have Hari Kripa, Vicharam becomes very easy because Bhagavatam says, Atma Atmado Hari. That once we have a Hari Dhyanam, then that Vicharam happens by Hari Kripa, and Hari himself reveals. He is the Atma Swarupa. He reveals himself to us in our heart. That is what is the three path of Bhakti. And our Advaitis very clearly say it is the Jnana alone which can liberate. He is a very good person, sir. I am sure he is with God now. Jnana, Vanda, Moksha. Morals, goodness, all that is very much important. Ella karma yogathile adangiyachella. Charity, ella karma yoga. Upasanam is a different thing. Our Swamiji gave that example. A person went to the Guru and begged the Guru for bhakti, bhava. And the Guru said, keep chanting the divine name, Maha Mantra, jap karo. And he went on chanting. After 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, after 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, slowly bhakti started coming. At that point of time, he goes to the Guru and said, you made me wait 12 years. I've been chanting, kuch nahi ho raha tha. Nothing was happening. Now only I'm getting it. Why is it so? Then he gave a story. A person came with a big glass to get some milk from a milkman. And the milkman wanted to give him milk. Then he says, show me your glass. Then he showed the glass, a big bartan, a big vessel. And the milkman, instead of pouring milk, took some water, poured it and go. Then he took the water home. What did he do with the water? He poured it out. Next day he came back. Again he poured water. He threw the water. It happened like that for 1 month, it seems. And the chap kept quiet because he had some faith in milkman. After 1 month, when he came again, suddenly to his utter surprise, he found milk coming in that little can. Then he asked, 1 month I was asking milk. You didn't give me milk. Suddenly on the 31st day, you are giving me milk. Why is it so? The milkman said, you brought the tumbler, you brought the can, but it was very dirty. I can't fill milk here. It's not fit to have milk. It needs to be cleaned first. So I kept on pouring. Because you came to me with Shraddha, I did what is required for you. I kept on pouring water to cleanse that little can. Now after 30 days of me pouring water, the can is clean. Now it is fit to receive milk. And now you take the milk, enjoy the milk. See, Chitta Suddhi. Till we get Chitta Suddhi, Karma Yoga and Upasana has to be done. After Upasana, by Hari Kripa and Guru Kripa, either by Vicharam or by Kripa itself, that Atma Swarupam shines forth. And Jnana alone liberates. Even when we do Nama Sankirtana, Jnana can be bestowed by Guru Kripa. And our Bhagavatam says, just like how when a reasonably aged girl ready to get married, then at that point of time, the mother just before marriage suddenly brings a diamond earring, a diamond nose ring, and all the ornaments are bedecked suddenly. And the girl is saying, where did we have all this? We always had it. I was waiting for the right time to bedeck you. Today being your day of marriage is the right time. It's all bedecked and then given to the groom. You see? Likewise, the Guru will wait for the right time to bedeck us with Jnana, Bhakti, Vairagya. So Jnanatnala liberation. But that state of Jnana, that state of liberation, how it will be is where they all differ. You see? Nobody ever questions the fact that there is moksha without without Jnana is nobody's stance. But an Jnanam, what is that Jnanam? And how do we get that Jnanam? There is a lot of varieties of ways, as many paths, as many traditions. And then the Swarupa Jnana is ever shining in our heart. Only Ajnana is covering it. We need to just remove the covering. Just the veil has to be taken off. It's always available. We don't attain it. We don't earn it. We realize it. Creating Jnana. I am not lighting Jnana. I am merely dispelling the darkness covering jnana. See, that's all. So by the process of karma yoga, bhakti, vichara, etc., what I am doing is, I am merely I am merely taking off the dross. I am merely taking off the ash from the burning embers to get that Agni out again. It was always there, it was only covered. That's why it's called avarana. Avarana means covering. I merely take off that cover. And that's what is Advaita Siddhanta.